Tabacum from Allen's keynotes. Diseases originating in cerebral irritation followed by marked irritation of functions of vagi, emaciation of chest and back, complete prostration of entire muscular system, sensation of excessive wretchedness, icy coldness of surface covered with cold sweat. Symptoms occur in paroxysms, asthma, sick headache, vertigo, sneezing. Great despondency with indigestion, palpitation, intermittent pulse. Vertigo, death-like pallor, increasing to loss of consciousness, relieved in open air and by vomiting. On rising or looking backward, on opening the eyes. Sick headache coming on in early morning, intolerable by noon, deadly nausea, violent, vomiting, aggravation by noise and light. Periodical, lasting 1 or 2 days. Sudden pain on right side of head as if struck by a hammer or a club. Dim-sighted, sees as through a well, strabismus, depending upon brain troubles. Amaurosis from atrophy of retina or optic nerve. Face pale, blue, pinched, sunken, collapsed, covered with cold sweat. Nausea, incessant as if seasick. Vomiting on least motion with faintness, amelioration in open air. Vomiting, violent with cold sweat soon as it begins to move during pregnancy when lactic acid fails. Seasickness, deadly nausea, pallor, coldness, aggravation by least motion and amelioration on deck in fresh cold air. Terrible faint, sinking feeling at pit of stomach. Sense of relaxation of stomach with nausea. Child wants abdomen uncovered, relieves nausea and vomiting, coldness in abdomen. Constipation, inactive bowel or paralysis of rectum, spasms of sphincter, prolapsus ani of ears, standing herpes of anus. Diarrhea, sudden yellowish, greenish, slimy, urgent, watery with nausea, vomiting, prostration and cold sweat with extreme faintness from excessive smoking. Renal colic, violent spasmodic pains along ureter, left side, deadly nausea and cold perspiration. Palpitation, violent when lying on left side, goes off when turning onto the right. Pulse, quick, full, large, small, intermittent, exceedingly slow, feeble, irregular, almost imperceptible. Hands icy cold, body warm. Legs icy cold from knees down, trembling on limbs. Relations, antidotes for abuse of tobacco, ipecac for excessive nausea and vomiting, arsenic for bad effects of tobacco chewing, nux for the gastric symptoms next morning after smoking, phosphorus, palpitation, tobacco heart, sexual weakness, ignatia for annoying hiccup from tobacco chewing, clematis or for tobacco toothache, sepia, neuralgic affections of right side of face, dyspepsia, chronic nervousness, especially in sedentary occupations. Lycopodium for incompetence, impotence, spasms, cold sweat from excessive smoking, gelsemium, occipital headache and vertigo from excessive use, especially smoking. Tabacum potentized to relieve terrible craving when discontinuing use. Amelioration, open, fresh, cold air, uncovering. Tabacum from Boericke Materia Medica. Tobacco. The symptomatology of tabacum is exceedingly well marked. The nausea, giddiness, death-like pallor, vomiting, icy coldness and sweat with the intermittent pulse are all most characteristic. Has marked antiseptic qualities, antidotal to cholera germs. Complete prostration of the entire muscular system, collapse, gastralgia, enteralgia, seasickness, cholera infantum, cold, but wants abdomen uncovered. Vigorous peristaltic activity, diarrhea, produces high tension and arteriosclerosis of the coronary arteries. Should prove the most homeopathic drug for angina pectoris with coronaritis and high tension. Constriction of throat, chest, bladder, rectum. Pallor, breathlessness, hard cord-like pulse. Mind. Sensation of excessive wretchedness, very despondent, forgetful, discontented. Head, vertigo on opening eyes, sick headache with deadly nausea, periodical. Tight feeling as from a band, sudden pain as if struck by a hammer, nervous stiffness, secretion from eyes, nose and mouth increased. Eyes, dim sight, sees as through a veil, strabismus, amaurosis, musk, volitantis. Central scotoma, rapid blindness without lesion, followed by venous hyperemia and atrophy of optic nerve. Face, pale blue, pinched, sunken, collapsed, covered with cold sweat. Freckles. Throat, nasopharyngitis and tracheitis, hemming, morning cough, sometimes with vomiting, hoarseness of public speakers. Stomach, incessant nausea, worse, smell of tobacco smoke, vomiting on least motion, sometimes of fecal matter. During pregnancy with much spitting. Seasickness, terrible faint, sinking feeling at pit of stomach, sense of relaxation of stomach with nausea. Gastralgia, pain from cardiac end extending to left arm. Abdomen, cold, wants abdomen uncovered, it lessens the nausea and vomiting. Painful distension, incarcerated hernia. Rectum, constipation, rectum paralyzed, prolapse, diarrhea, sudden, watery with nausea and vomiting, prostration and cold sweat, discharges look like sour milk, thick, curdled, watery, rectal tenesmus. Urinary, renal colic, violent pain along ureter, left side. Heart, palpitation when lying on left side, pulse intermits, feeble, imperceptible. Angina pectoris, pain in precordial region, pain radiates from center of sternum. Tachycardia, bradycardia, acute dilatation caused by shock or violent physical exertion. Respiratory, difficult violent constriction of chest, precordial operation with palpitation and pain between shoulders, cough followed by hiccup, cough, dry, teasing, must take a swallow of cold water, dyspnea with tingling down left arm when lying on left side. Extremities, legs and hands icy cold, limbs tremble, paralysis following apoplexy, gait shuffling, unsteady, feebleness of arms. Sleep, insomnia with dilated heart, with cold, clammy skin and anxiety. Fever, chills with cold sweat. Modalities, worse, opening eyes, evening, extremes of heat and cold, better, uncovering, open fresh air. Relationship, compare hydrobromic acid, camphor, veratrum, arsenic. Compare nicotinum. Alternate tonic and clonic spasms followed by general relaxation and trembling, nausea, cold sweat and speedy collapse. Head drawn back, contraction of eyelids and masseter muscles. Muscles of neck and back rigid, hissing respiration from spasm of laryngeal and bronchial muscles. Antidote, vinegar, sour apples, camphor in the physiological antagonist, arsenic. for chewing tobacco, ignitia, smoking, sepia, neuralgia and dyspepsia, lycopodium, impotency, nux, bad taste due to tobacco, caladium and plantago, cause aversion to tobacco, phosphorus for tobacco, heart, sexual weakness, dose 3rd to 30th and higher potencies.